Hello, everybody. This is Angelique Tsang, and I run the movie analysis groups in London and Hong Kong and online. And so, what I'm going to do tonight is actually give you a summary of the wisdom that came out of one of our last meetup groups where we watched the movie Paid Forward. It was a fundraising event, and during that fundraising event, we had 12 amazing people show up. And we actually looked into various questions around paying it forward. And one of my commitments was that I was going to collect the wisdom from these meetup groups that I organize, and that I will actually archive and record the wisdom for basically people who cannot attend. And especially regarding the subject of paying it forward, I thought it was very important to actually share it because there was so much. There was so much that was shared that I think would be useful to actually help other people think about the concept of paying it forward. If you don't know what the movie Paying It Forward is, click the link below and watch the trailer. And you can also look at the foundation that we raise the money for, which is the Pay It Forward Foundation. You can find out about what they are about. There is a Facebook group as well for the Pay It Forward Foundation, so you can get involved locally. But to go to the summary of the evening that we organized, I will actually share with you the 4 main questions that we had for the groups, and I've made some notes. Okay. So in the movie, there is a part where the teacher, played by Kevin Spacey, where he asked the students, what if the world is just a big disappointment? Unless we take the things we don't like about the world and we flip them upside down, and we start doing that today. And the question we gave to the group was, what do we gain when we pay it forward? Another question that we asked the group is, what is required for an action to change our world for the highest good? Another question we asked is, what do we have to conquer if we truly are to change the world? And what stops us from paying it forward? And another question is, what is in the world of the possible? And what is heroic about paying it forward? So let me go to the notes where I was making notes furiously all night. So I was actually in the group that was analyzing the question, what is heroic about paying it forward? And so in order to actually understand, this question, it was very important for us to actually analyze the word heroic. Because heroism, of course, only exists when there is an extraordinary task, and the task is there to benefit other people than yourself, benefit a purpose higher than your own ego. And of course, it's also about somebody who has to actually conquer some kind of fear or something that requires courage or requires a challenge to be overcome. So when we looked at paying it forward and the heroism involved in paying it forward, we looked at altruism. We looked at people having to step out of their comfort zone, and we looked at people having to be vulnerable to actually pay it forward and to take on the responsibility to actually achieve something that is exceptional for something that was bigger than themselves and bigger than their own fear. And in order for something to be heroic, probably, it's very likely that this thing would have to be considered intelligent and strategic. And so there was also this element around caring, a certain kind of love for the planet or for the country or for other people. So a hero actually, although they're conquering their fear, they're giving back, they're also coming from a lot of love, almost like impersonal kind of love. Okay, so so of course we thought it was very interesting that the movie Paid Forward is about a little boy that is heroic, and so that is, I think, what makes the movie so interesting, that it is actually a little boy that that's very young, that could tap into this hero in him, and who that then, you know, actually allows this kind of like ripple effect to appear in his life, in the lives of the people that he touches. So that is very beautiful about the movie. So let me see at the other notes that we made. So basically, one of the things that, you know, I don't know who said what, so I just made notes, that the love of this boy in the movie was transcending the boundaries of, you know, actually what he thought was possible. So his love to do something to change somebody's life was actually bigger than the fears that he had. And of course, there was a very beautiful innocence about what he was doing. So, and actually, so that brings us to the next question, which is what is required for an action to change the world for the higher good? And people in the group that were analyzing that question were actually saying that, you know, everybody will have a different perspective, and especially in the movie, this the Paying It Forward movement was initiated by a young boy, and the question was it important that it had to be initiated by a young boy, and could it not have been initiated by somebody who was, you know, maybe older or more wiser in between brackets? And you know, some people said that the young person is not stuck in a routine or a story yet. And so they can actually think about things in a simpler way. And they can actually see that simple things can actually create, you know, ripple effects. And it purely comes from their heart. And if you've seen a movie, actually the young boy does he does things for people in his life, but he also does things for total strangers. So there is this simplicity about how he thinks about the world that probably, you know, this whole concept, Paying It Forward, I mean, the writer of the book was very brilliant to actually give this task to a younger boy. And I'm not sure whether, we don't know whether it would have worked if it was an older person, let's say. So, and a younger person, you know, or somebody who has this innocence is, of course, less, you know, what is it, held back by all these habits that they have. And the young boy, you know, because of his sphere of influence, he had to start at home. So he had to help his teacher, and he had to help his mom. And it was so just like, you know, so a lot of things, a lot of the time, I think when we think about Paying It Forward, or we think about, you know, affecting the world in a positive way, we think about these big things, you know, like starting a charity, or, you know, building an orphanage. You know, I actually know these people, you know, amazing individuals that want to make a difference. But sometimes, you know, if you're not in a position to do that, we can also pay it forward by starting small. And it starts actually with a fundamental thing, and that is the belief that you can make a difference. And so although we're talking about a certain action, the first thing that comes before you actually pay it forward is to actually believe that when you do something that's right according to you, that it will benefit somebody else. So the belief comes before the action. So, and one of the participants made this amazing observation, which is that this is a quote from somebody called Martin Rowe. And he says, "You don't think your way into a new way of living, you live your way into a new way of thinking." So when we want to be the change in the society, we have to live the change into a new way of thinking. So we have to live our way into a new way of thinking. It's not we think our way into a new way of living. So, and actually, when we talk about that, it's very clear that everybody in the movie, when they were paying it forward, they actually had to step out of their comfort zone, and it required them to actually have more faith, I think, in the person that they were actually in interaction with. So, it had to. So there was this heroism in terms of conquering some of their own beliefs about relationships and about people and what these people, were going, how they were going to react. So, so that is a very, very beautiful part of paying it forward. It expands people. It expands people's boundaries of actually what they're capable of doing, and how they actually can share in a way that is authentic to them, what is something that could affect somebody else in a positive way. So, for instance, the teacher in the movie had to overcome his own fear because, of course, he was wounded in his own way, and the mother had to, for instance, make peace with her mother that she couldn't forgive. So, I mean, these are all very beautiful examples of how, when sometimes we think about, paying it forward, we think about, world projects, ending world hunger, achieving world peace. But when you look at the movie, when you watch the movie, and especially after the discussion that we've had, we were saying that sometimes it is actually easier to pay it forward to total strangers, and actually it's very more difficult to go to the families, the people that we love, and to actually just start anew with these people that are so close to us. So, and it's so there's actually sometimes even more courage required to work with the people who are so close to us. So okay, so one of the other questions was, what is required to what do we need to conquer to change the world? So what is it that actually stops us? And so it boiled down to the question of faith in ourselves and in the other. So, and in terms of faith in the self, the boy in the movie had a faith that was like a mustard seed that could move mountains. And so in his innocence of being able to help somebody else, he was so innocent that he was unbreakable. But then, of course, when it seemed as if his actions did not achieve the effect that he wanted, he was heartbroken. So, and that was, of course, what the mother was trying to prevent, protect him from. So, another thing that we looked at is faith in other people. So we were discussing that in certain societies, it is actually very, very common to distrust people that want help. And that there is this sort of like cultural attitude that when people want help, that they're going to abuse it. So in those societies, people have a natural negative outlook towards people that need help, because there is this culture of people taking advantage of it. And of course, in those societies, it could have a very disadvantageous effect, because not everybody will be in that type of position where they will take advantage of people, helping them. So, and we were also looking at TV series like The Secret Millionaire, where people actually help in a hidden capacity, in an anonymous capacity. And if you've never seen that, the TV series is actually a very good TV series about these secret, entrepreneurs, secret millionaires that, go undercover and then help communities and, how they really see from close up, how actually people are doing the best they can, and sometimes, very, very, in situations that are heartbreaking, and then they come and they are moved, in their soul, and then of course they donate money, and how it really, really, changes the millionaire. So sometimes helping somebody else is also, really shifting the perspective of the millionaire, and of what success really means. So we were looking also at, sometimes the people believing that when there is too much help given in certain situations, let's say organizationally, there are certain advantages of being in a position where you need help. There could be this learned behavior of learned helplessness, and that of course is not advantageous. So if we are going to put up projects for paid forward, then we should actually encourage people that we help to to actually reach out to them in ways that are empowering to them. So that was one of the conclusions that came out of our group analysis. So and there was somebody who was talking about this Cambridge lecturer called Lexon Cirioli. I can't even read my own handwriting. And that was about a person who said that this man exhibited desire and belief that was higher than the environment that he was born into. And that the desire and belief, although this person was in a certain cultural subculture where there was no ambition, where they were cynical about what they could achieve, this person, his desire and belief was just, transcending the subculture. And then because he had an idea and a higher desire and belief than what was warranted by the current circumstances, the idea in him, the desire and the belief, it fostered, the action to take to actually achieve what he wanted to achieve. So in terms of, looking at, when we pay it forward, probably that is also going to be playing in the background. Do we have a desire? Do we have to believe? And then if we have that, can we actually then channel it or harness it in action so that we can help other people help themselves? So the last question was, what is in the world or the realm of the possible? And actually the group that had to answer this question had a bit of a challenge there, because they hadn't seen a movie, and I actually had to help them think about the context in which they could answer this question. So I think they were going back to the mindset of the young boy, and that actually, because he was so innocent, he was able to teach his mother and to teach a drug addict that he met on the street, and to teach even his teacher about starting anew and of having hope and actually thinking about life in a much more positive way, and to actually let the past be the past and move forward to the future. And so it was about the mindset of actually the innocent young hero. And it also had to do with sacrifice. So if we think about the realm of the possible, of what is possible when we could take the things that we don't like and we flip it around and we start today, then we also have to think about the sacrifice that we have to make, and a sacrifice that will actually lead to a benefit for something else. And so it is also about, thinking about different ways of solving current problems in our society or in our lives, or in the lives of other people. So, and actually then, really taking a look at these things in refreshing ways. So that was it. I hope that you enjoyed it. And as I said, I'll be making more of these little movie summaries so that, you know, all the amazing insights and conversations that we have are actually being archived for people who are watching these things online. And if you have time, you know, do come to one of our events, the live events in London or Hong Kong. And in the future, we will be doing online events as well. So hopefully we'll see you soon. And if you want to follow us, click the link below for the Facebook group and you'll be receiving our invitations for events. Thank you. Bye bye.